Coming live from the Plaga de Cuto Beach on the Isles of Pines, south of New Caledonia. We are here with the fifth last ESL Open Cup Fueled by Day, number 16. It's a very special number for a number of reasons, which I will choose not to get into. I'm your host, Yaku of Yakuzaku, and with me today I have el hombre que trabaja mientras el campo conduce el batimóvil, Light_VIP. How we doing, Light?
God damn it, Yaku. What's up, Yakuzaku? We are back with our weekly edition of ESL Open Cup number 16. And honestly, I didn't realize it until you said it out loud. Mate, it's number 16.
It is.
It's the Kuro edition.
It is. Everybody get your quick pieces ready.
Kuro, are you ready to cast? Are you ready to just unmute and just cast the whole thing?
Oh God, yeah, it's flashing on my screen right now. But speaking of God, we are here with a man of God himself here, the divinus himself. He is spawning up in the top right-hand corner of Everdream, L.E. in the top right-hand corner. He is the king of alliteration himself, representing M for Mind Freak and M for Melbourne. He is the Purple Protoss player, Pezz.
And spawning in at the bottom left-hand corner of Everdream, L.E. and Yaku. Have you ever had a dream?
I have one last night. I wrote down in my phone.
We have the Australian Protoss player representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe.
And he's celebrating, coming off of his exams. He passed basically all of them. And what a way to celebrate other than going into the matchup that Probe hates the most.
Yeah, if you're tuning in today and you weren't here yesterday for ESL Open Cup Asia, I believe we brought it up, how Probe, he signed up and yeah, he tweeted out that he finished all of his exams. So now his sole focus in life is StarCraft.
Well, for now, at the moment, yeah. His sole focus right now is beating Pezz. I suppose you can also try to break that down, What is he going to focus on in order to focus on beating Pezz?
Yeah, and obviously, he's just come off the back of winning, sorry, not winning, let me, too ahead of myself. I'm coming second in DreamHack, the main events for this region, so Probe, I remember going into DreamHack, we were wondering, hey, how is he gonna do? He's been looking a little bit shaky, everyone else has been looking good, and Probe, he stepped up and he made it all the way to the finals, which is exciting to see.
Absolutely was, coming from the winner's bracket as well. But from now, Probe, he is once again going to be diverting away from the style of play that we normally know him for.
Yeah.
For that proxy Stargate. And so far, I don't see a Robo-Light.
Yeah, I don't see a Robo. Instead, we do have a Twilight Council, and there we go. That Oracle is on the way for Probe, and Pezz, he will eventually spot this, but it may be a little bit too late. The Oracle has already started; it's going to be halfway done by the time the Probe actually does spot it, and we'll see what his response is. Pezz, he can maybe warp in a couple of Stalkers.
Wait, does he see it? Just sees it.
Ooh.
Right in the corner of his eye. So right now I'm just looking at these Stalkers. They're a little bit preoccupied in dealing with these Adepts. They're getting quite a bit of damage done. God. 4 probes already going down. And Adepts, they take a while to kill by, if you use Stalkers alone, 6 probes already down. And the Oracle is not even in the base yet.
Yeah, and the Adepts of Pezz, they're across the map just chipping away at a pylon of all things, and here we go, the Oracle does go in and kills even more workers here, already 9 going down.
Thankfully, Pezz is able to deal with that pretty quickly. You also see Blink coming on the way for him, so he won't really have a lot of trouble if Probe decides to continue on this path of Stargate harassment. But already, just like that, Probe is going to transition out of it, getting that robo facility.
Yeah, I love how Probe is playing this out. Like, he went in, he dealt all this economic damage behind it. He's getting another base, he's getting a robo as well. He's just transitioning, and Pezz, like, now he's kind of struggling a little bit to catch up. Unfortunately, like, typically we see like a Probe at the ramp ready to throw down the building to stop those devs from coming in, but that just wasn't there. And
yeah, this time the Probe was across the map looking for proxies.
I thought you were gonna make a pun about Probe the player or something, but
this time the Probe was in front of Pezz's face, just beating him.
There you go.
Slamming his face on the desk.
But I love this. Like, Pezz, he's aware that he needs to get some kind of damage done, and we do see him warping in a couple of units across the map, looking to apply some pressure.
Yeah, anything you can really do in Pezz's position right now. Any way to keep him down. He knows how far behind he is, and yeah, simply just trying to catch up is not exactly going to be feasible. But Blink is about to be done, so as you were saying, this pressure coming out from Pezz is going to be a lot more effective.
Yeah, definitely. And as we look at what Probe has defensively to try and stop these Blink Stalkers, like Probe, you know, he has a shield battery, he has an Immortal, he has already has a couple of Stalkers as well.
He'll also have Overcharge here, which is not something you want to scoff at. A couple of sentries are now in, whether it's used for Guardian Shield or Force Field, either way, going to be very useful. And I actually kind of like this, using the Adepts to tank damage.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we've seen that Adepts can actually tank quite a lot of Stalker hits.
Yeah, and even if they take a few too many, being down an Adept is not going to cost you as much as being down a Sentry or a Stalker.
Definitely.
And even the Warp Prism now in to really make the use of the micro potential it's got. Probe, you know, showing that if you're fighting against Blink Stalkers without Blink, there is a way. There is a way.
Yeah, I was about to say that even though Probe doesn't have Blink, he's doing the best he can with that Warp.
I was so worried about that Immortal for a second, but Pezz just down two more shots to take out that Immortal. And by 2 more shots, I mean 2 more Stalkers.
Yeah, basically just one more volley, and oh, he blinks forward, and Probe was just able to pick up his Immortal as well.
And does Russia keep it alive, and he is playing with fire a little bit right now, but here comes the battery overcharge, and Probe is really looking to try to bait Pezz into him as much as he can. He has very little offensive capability, but defensively, he's basically unstoppable. GG is called, and Probe takes game number 1.
And Probe showing us how, like, playing a very different play style compared to yesterday. Yesterday he was insanely aggressive to the point where he cannon rushed 3 games in a row against Rex, or at least went Forge first. But this time, you know, really showing us that hey, you know, he hasn't like gone all the way to the dark side. He is still very much so like a defensive Protoss at heart.
He very much so is, and I got a little worried for a second, Light. As you were saying, he can rush 3 games in a row last night, and even just today, looking at his stream, he was, shall we say, experimenting a little bit.
Yeah, we were talking about it, about how, like, for the longest time, Probe was more of a macro focus or defensive Protoss, but in more recent times, like after DreamHack, it felt almost as if, like, you know, something like snapped within him. we had like this pent-up aggression just come out before us, like through StarCraft, and it was like, oh my god, what is happening? Like, is he okay? Like, he's just a completely different person now, but no, it's okay. You know, he's back, kind of.
Yeah, just purging the demon, so to speak.
Yep. And I mean, maybe we'll see a little bit more of that if Pezz is able to advance. We may see him face off against Demi.
Oh. Anyway, we do have a Croup Please redeemed right here by Steel Mold, and we're gonna leave that to Croup's discretion. This is a PvP. So, if Shirley's gonna do it now, or we're gonna be waiting for a Zerg match.
Yeah, she can let us
call us out. You don't have to let it call us out like that, Croup.
Alright, we are just setting up in the new lobby. Croup, leave the old one and join our one. Not in the lobby. Sweet, there we go.
So you're still not in the lobby.
Hashtag blame Blizzard.
It is my duty.
Okay, so who's casting? Who's casting?
Yeah,
Who's
I don't
casting the
think-
group, please?
I don't think I've had the luxury of listening into the both of you cast.
Oh boy.
Aha, now it's your turn to be the information
Oh boy.
minute. I don't really
Llama.
know. Llama,
Llama.
there we go. Alrighty then. We're gonna be loading in onto our next PvP map here in this first round, best of 3. And speaking of the first round, best of 3, we are in the first round, but in the second map. That's how math works. And in the second map, we are going to be loading in onto Eternal Empire, Ile. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spotting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. We do in fact have a blue Protoss player coming out all the way from the land of Melbourne. Wait, he's from Melbourne, right? Melbourne, representing Legacy Esports, we have the Assistant Deputy of S.H.I.E.L.D. himself, Probe.
And in the top right corner of Eternal Empire, LE. LE of course stands for Legacy Egg.
Haha!
Yes.
I get it.
We have the purple Protoss representing Mind Freaks and Australia and apparently Melbourne as well. It is Pezz.
It does look a little bit like an egg, doesn't it?
What does?
The Legacy Esports logo. Or does it?
I mean...
It's round. Oh yeah, no, it does not look like an
I
egg.
mean... No. Anyways,
But it's round.
we have no proxies this time. How do I say that?
Well, yeah, I mean, no proxies yet. This could just be a spotter pylon coming up from Probe, but in
Yes.
fact it is going to be, once again,
This is
that
clearly
spotter
a spotter.
Stargate.
Yes,
Yeah.
the spotter.
Well, you know, if you think about it, the Stargate has a bit more vision, right, than the pylon. It's a much
I
better
would
spotter.
say though, this time Pezz has his Nexus much earlier than the first game. I don't know if it's because of the map, because I guess Eternal Empire is a little bigger, I want to say, than Everdream.
Yeah, it's quite a lot bigger, especially when we're counting ground-based armies. So it will take quite a long time for Probe if he decides to go for any sort of a rush to make it to the other side of the map. And yeah, by then, there will already be a lot of probes to the point where Pezz, you know, even if he loses a couple, he can afford to.
Oh, is there no adepts this time from... Yep, there's no adepts from Probe this time, but there are Stalkers coming up instead.
Interesting. So already going to be putting up a little bit of pressure, but that's about all that Probe is looking to do.
Also, the
Stalkers have quite a bit more
Stargate
save
gets
power.
scouted very early this time, but the Oracle is already on the way. There is a
Yeah, look at
shield
what
battery in the natural, there is none in the main.
No, there is not. There are going to be a couple of Stalkers there, but this is exactly what Probe wants to do with Stalkers, isn't it? Just draw the Stalkers of Pezz away. Or I suppose not. The Oracle just dives on in and it gets 6 probes. Pezz does get the Oracle this time, but damage has already been dealt. With the extra Nexus, though, I kind of feel like 6 probes, it's not exactly negligible, but it's not
I mean,
as bad as it could have been.
They are about even-ish on workers, so it's definitely not as bad as last time. But
Exactly.
we will see. Also, the Stargate was scouted much earlier. I mean, much earlier? I think it was earlier.
Oh yeah, quite. Well, It was scouted around the same time, but to be fair, we're not too sure if Pezz was really... Because last time it was kind of the corner of the eye sort of situation. This time Pezz is completely 100% sure where that Stargate is, and Probe is aware of that, not going for that Robo Bait this time. Instead going for a quick Forge and Blink.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is this like a reverse now? Like, now Probe is getting Blink and Pezz is getting Immortals? Like, what is this?
Soon we're gonna see
PvP?
Probe moves across the map. Soon we're gonna see Probe move across the map, you know, try to Blink on top of the Immortal, but then Pezz is gonna juggle everything, and I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah, like literally, they are very similar armies to the last time. Except Probe doesn't have a pylon on the other side of the map. Also, Pezz looks like he wants to move out? Question mark. Yep, he's moving out.
Yeah, looking to go for his counterattack right here. He does have about the right units. Would be nice to see a Warp Prism, but it is on its way. So again, by air distance, it's not going to take too long. And it's actually looking to be a pretty deadly army coming out from Pezz. And Probe, my guy, you may have taken that third at the exact wrong timing. But it can always cancel it, thanks. Or Pezz could also ignore it.
Pezz is not even interested. Just
going
like, yep, whatever.
Straight for the throat here. Yeah, gonna be trying to get a couple more Warpins in, but Probe, once again, he's being put in this defensive position, which is where he wants to be.
And
Or
pulling the
does he,
probes.
is now being forced to pull the boys. Pulling just about every single one of them. Pezz is gonna be able to keep his sentries alive here, and good use of the force field. Traps so many of these probes. Manages to take out 13. Although, funnily enough, Probe isn't that far behind, despite that. Oh, nice little block here with the Probe. Yeah, managing to get that pylon down.
There's not enough units.
It's gonna help.
The force fields are helping, but for how long?
I mean, they helped, but at the same time, Probe kind of moved into the range of those stalkers.
True.
And yeah, now the shield batteries are out of energy. There is an overcharge available, I believe, but nope, not gonna be enough here. Probe taps out.
To be honest, you say how Probe is aggressive now and like how he went for the proxy Stargate both games and stuff. But then again, in both games, it was Pezz who was attacking into Probe.
He was.
He was like, okay, I got enough of this. I'm just going. Like in both games. But anyway.
Yeah, pretty much how it works down. Yes.
Oh, this is funny.
I don't know which lobby to click on.
Both matches are on the same map, and both players posted a link.
I don't know which one to click on.
Anyway, this was my one quiz for today. And
yep,
and
thank
now
you very much for
joining
joining us on the desk.
Bye.
And over there with Light with the weather. We'll see you soon, Kuro. Thank you very much for the crew, please. As a reminder, 2 more can be redeemed tonight, and it is, after all, the 16th Dare Cup.
It is. It's very fitting to have Career Cast. And honestly, I'm excited. We're here, and we've made it to the Ace match. Yeah, go on.
And speaking of the Ace match, that is the match that we are in right now on Pillars of Gold, LE, which hold up the golden walls, which protects the Eternal Empire, of which the LE submarines are where we reside in, and whatnot. In the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning in on the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we do have our King of Alliteration himself, representing M for Mind Freak, as well as M for Melbourne. He is the Purple Protoss player, Pezz.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Pillars of Gold LE, we have the other Australian Protoss player representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe.
Oh, mate, Sean.
Oh, mate, Sean. And so far, 2 games in a row, Probe has gone for that proxy Stargate. He's not going to
And
do it
now
again,
we see
is
it in
he?
the third game.
Is
He has not yet. But he has
boy.
gone for this Nexus block, or Pylon block.
Yeah, being a little bit annoying. And I just like observing and watching last game. I love how Pezz switched up, like the way he approached that matchup and how he was the one that went for the earlier Nexus as well, getting a little bit of that earlier economy, and then building up that Stalker count. And Probe, surprisingly, I don't think you touched on it much, but it was really surprising to see him be very greedy and take that early third base in the PvP.
Exactly. He may have been a little mad. He may have been getting a little mad lately, but we didn't think he'd go that far.
Right? Like especially with all the PvPs we casted yesterday, every single time another base is taken, it's like this big moment. And Probe just so casually, so quickly going up to that third Nexus was like just shocking to me. Like I know it was Eternal Empire, but oh god,
Exactly. What? Yeah, there's only so much you can get away with, especially considering how Pezz decided to play that out. I mean, it would have been. It was useful as a bit of a spotter, but yeah, by then it might have been a little late.
And speaking of
Bases.
like expanding and bases, I love how they both blocked each other.
Yeah, neither of them are going to go up to a second base for quite some time, which is, to be fair, the way PvP was meant to be played.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was meant to be played, but that's how it is played. This is what we have become, and so far nothing too crazy. No proxies out on the map at all, just delaying each other for the time being. Meanwhile, Probe is going across the map with those adepts, and
it's sticking back to what gave him a lot of success in the first game. And Pillars of Gold, it is a fairly short rush distance map, similar to Everdream.
Yeah, definitely. And there we go. The Shades are the Adepts are trying to get into the main base once again. This time though, Pezz, he's on top of it. He blocks it with that pylon.
And yeah, Probe is gonna have quite a bit of trouble, especially now that the Stalkers coming in a sandwich, forces a recall, which is important to note, as recall takes quite a long time to come off a cooldown. You may as well use it in the early game, since there's not going to be quite a bit of action for a while, but I mean, you don't want to be caught with your pants down, do you?
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to be in that moment where like, oh, I really need it, and you wasted it earlier in the game, right? And we do see these two players already diverging a little bit. Pezz, once again, he is going for that blink, which is really nice. Meanwhile, Probe, he skipped his Twilight Council, going right into Robo.
Yeah, which so far in this series at least has kind of become our new Robo versus Stargate.
Yeah. I mean, as opposed to we actually have seen Stargate in the previous games, but this time Probe skipping it, and we'll see. Defensively, he's looking pretty solid. That's a lot of sentries, shield battery too.
Yeah, and again, he has that overcharge available at any one point. Going for that Robo Bay first also means that you'll be the first player to get an Immortal out, which is a really good all-around unit, but is definitely one of your most important units in defense, especially against Blink Stalkers.
Yeah,
trying to come in. Will you manage to power this? This is the only pylon that's empowering all of these structures. That shield battery is going out of commission for quite some time. There will be no warp ins right now for Probe, but I think it should still be enough thanks to this Immortal.
Yeah, nicely done by Pezz. He's finding some damage. He depowered everything, including the shield battery, which is probably the most important part. And he does have Blink available to him.
And it's going to make Pezz's pressure a lot more effective. Pylons have been rebuilt, and that shield battery is back in play. While we do see a Robo coming out for Pezz here, going for the Observer first instead of a Warp Prism. So I have a feeling that we should keep our eyes on that third base location near the main.
Yeah, like once that Observer does move out across the map, there will be some opportunities for Pezz to blink up into the main base using that. You don't necessarily need a Warp Prism to do so once you have Blink, and we may see that come into play. Probe, he's throwing down a Forge as well. I'm just kind of curious to see if at any point Probe is going to throw down a Twilight Council, if he's going to go for any upgrades. At the moment,
He just did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Blink is now on the way.
while, here we go, Pezz. Sorry, he was keeping Probe at home, and Pezz is expanding and taking that third base.
Should we sound the alarm? I'm worried about the rates that third bases are being taken in the series. But Pezz is going to have some potential to defend that. He is going for a Robobay.
Yeah, this is like, even though he's going for a third base like Probe did last time, like I feel like there's more of a reason for Pezz to do it this time, right? Like he's been, keeping Probe back at home, keeping him busy, so, he's feeling safe to do so, but now Probe is pushing out.
Exactly, he has been keeping Probe back at home, although I'm not sure what Haas has to do with any of this.
I mean, he's Protoss too, right?
Is accurate. I'm feeling Pezz has been, or not Pezz, Probe has been studying his games lately.
Yeah, and I do apologize if we mix up Pezz and Probe here. They're both Australian, they're both from Melbourne, they both start with P.
Yeah, both Protoss players.
They're both Protoss. Oh, God.
Why don't we just call them Sean and Jack?
Okay.
Let's do it, Sean. The blue Protoss. Sean is starting to come in. And yeah, Jack's in quite a little bit of trouble, but he does manage to get his Immortal out. And these are some pretty good force fields, but might have been a little bit too much there for old mate Jack.
Yeah, definitely. It's important to know that the shield batteries are available here at the third base location of Pezz, so he can always retreat to them, but Probe is aware of this. Looks like he's trying to rotate around.
Yeah, I'm actually really liking what has been done here by Probe, or Sean, I should say. Actually just sort of cutting the army from Pezz, making sure that he can't go into the natural, and now look at it. Probe going up the ramp. Blink is the disruptor. That was the only hope that Pezz really had here to fight this, and now things are looking pretty hopeless, but he has managed to sandwich this thanks to the Probes.
And all the Immortals have gone down for both Protoss players. It's just Blink Stalkers versus Blink Stalkers at the moment. Probe does have a sentry, and the Probes weren't fighting for a moment there, but it looks like Pezz may just have enough to hold on.
He definitely will here. Important to note that the Warp Prism was taken out earlier there for Pezz. Or not Pezz, Sean. Sean being Probe. So yeah, we do see a couple of reinforcements coming in here, but they were way too slow. And Pezz has been able to hold this. He sustains quite the number of casualties here. But the important part is he's still alive, and he has a second step.
Oh, that he does, and here we go. He was able to buy enough time to get those disruptors out. So now he has that higher tech as well. He also has a higher worker count, just under, but he does have 3 Nexuses, and there is some nice Blink Stalker micro here from Probe, though.
Yeah, actually looking really good. But I'm a little worried for Probe right now, as, the micro has been great. He hasn't been producing anything when any of this has been going on. He's not getting third base. And now this could be it. Takes out the Disruptor, but does lose a lot of Stalkers to deal with that. And Pezz takes out Probe 2-1. My phone's lagging a bit. Old mate Jack.
GG, well played, Pezz. 2 weeks in a row, he has been able to take out Probe 2-1, and in what a PvP! Oh my god, that was great to see. I don't fault Probe for that final engagement. I believe so, yeah. And hold on, you know what? We have the technology. Go on, double check. Oh no, sorry. Probe took out Pezz last week. Okay.
Yeah, 2-0 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and unfortunately we didn't get to cast that, but yeah, they faced each other again. They had a rematch, and Pezz coming out on top.
Indeed, he has. I have some pretty interesting play here as well. Definitely a style of PvP that it's a little more old school, I should say. Just sort of a Blink micro counterattack style. Or Blink Stalker counterattack style, so yeah, nice to see it.
Yeah, and again, that last engagement, Probe was handling that pretty well. We saw him, Blink on top of the Disruptor, snipe that. He sniped the Immortal as well. But at the end of the day, he was down a base, he was down an economy. If you recall, that War Prism was sniped pretty early on, and I don't think he remade it. So reinforcements were really slow as well. Yeah.